A lot of people claim philosophy is dead, and you know what? I agree. I'm playing, but really, it seems like when people say that philosophy is dead, usually ethics gets a pass at least. Cause I mean, even though we rarely get any certain objective answers out of this branch, it is important and useful to talk about how to act and how to live life. Really, when people say that philosophy is dead, they probably mean metaphysics, or the study of the nature of reality. Because really, why bother with all this theorizing when we got science, bitch? Look at all this cool stuff that actually studying nature empirically as, oh wait. And look, I'm an ethics and epistemology channel, so admittedly metaphysics ain't my cup of tea. But if we accept the premise that ethics is useful, then what if metaphysics can inform ethical ideas? Well then that would make metaphysical theories useful, right? Today we're going to be looking at one of the clearest examples of this with Spinoza, the most attractive modern philosopher in my opinion. His metaphysical theory informs his ethics, and his ethics can help you overcome almost anything. So let's start by summarizing Spinoza's metaphysical system. I already made a video on this, but it was made pretty early in this channel's history, so it's kinda ass. Let's recap then. For Spinoza, God is infinite. God is this infinite substance that is in literally everything. Whatever is in God, and nothing can be conceived without God. If you're a big fan of Taoism, this is pretty similar. Not identical, but similar. Every single thing, every person, every Xbox controller, every condom, every Halo 3 rat is a part of God. This infinite substance that is within everything. This has led to the big Spinoza tagline, Deus sive natura, which essentially means God or nature. Now you might hear that and think that this means that God equals nature. But this point is a little controversial. For example, the philosopher Karl Jaspers thought that nature is God, but that doesn't necessarily mean that God is nature. So God is this infinite thing, and nature is simply one way that he is expressed. That brings up the distinction between panentheism and pantheism. To really sum it up, panentheism is the view that God exists in all of space and time, but God also exists outside of space and time. Pantheism would have God simply be all of space and time. I'll leave it up to you to decide where Spinoza really lands, because it ultimately isn't that relevant to this video. What is relevant is the idea that God's divinity is a part of everything that we can perceive and comprehend. Like, look around you and just notice everything. Every wall around you, every table, every chair, and think about God being within these things. Now, with this God substance being within everything, this metaphysical theory is ripe for ethical derivatives. Again, since this is similar to Taoism, you might want to check out these videos that relate to the ethics connected to that philosophy, but this is Spinoza's time to shine. Now, if God is within all of time and space, then the things that happen ultimately have a sort of divine cause, so to speak. And really, how can us humans possibly defy something that is divine? Human power is very limited and is infinitely surpassed by the power of external causes. And so we do not have absolute power to adapt to our purposes, things external to us. Okay, so that doesn't sound very promising on its face. I thought the clickbait title was telling me how to overcome stuff, not have everything overcome on us. You know what I mean. Like, this kinda sounds a bit powerless on our part, right? But there is another way to view this, a more positive way. We shall patiently bear whatever happens to us that is contrary to what is required by consideration of our own advantage, if we are conscious that our power was not extensive enough for us to have avoided the said things, and that we are a part of the whole of nature whose order we follow. So we're powerless to God and his order of nature. But instead of viewing this in a sort of defeated way, you could look at this as almost a liberating realization. Like, think about it, if we really are powerless to go against nature, and if we fully believe this, then maybe we could better accept the things that happen to us. So one of my favorite movies is Dr. Strangelove, which is about a bunch of world leaders screwing up and eventually leading to total nuclear annihilation. There's not really any civilians in this movie, and I think that's intentional, to show how powerless everyday people can be, even in the face of a literally world-ending event. One of the takeaways I get from the movie is like, hey, if I can't change it, I better be content with it rather than be angry or sad. That's not gonna matter in the end. but I'd feel better. So that's the kind of overcoming that's involved with Spinoza. It's not so much a material overcoming of events, because you can't beat nature and God. However, it's more of a mental overcoming. Spinoza even says that through this, we can persevere in that resignation. It's similar to Stoicism, similar to Taoism, just not as popular because unlike the fun reading experience that those philosophies provide, who the f wants to read this? Well, I did anyway, because I love you guys. And hopefully you got some value out of Spinoza's ethics, and maybe even the metaphysics that inspired them. The ignorant man, besides being driven hither and thither by external causes, never possessing true contentment of spirit, lives as if he were unconscious of himself, God, and things. And as soon as he ceases to be passive, he at once ceases to be at all. On the other hand, the wise man, insofar as he is considered as such, suffers scarcely any disturbance of spirit, but being conscious, by virtue of a certain eternal necessity, of himself, of God and of things, never ceases to be, but always possesses true spiritual contentment. So what do you think? Is this convincing enough to show some usefulness in metaphysics? What are your thoughts on Spinoza's metaphysics and ethics themselves? Albert Einstein seems to be a fan based on these unverified random quotes I found on Google Images. Comment below and subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day.